Do you ever just like look at your bookshelf and just stare at it with all of the books on it and think, my God, I should probably get to some of those sometime soon. And then instead of doing that, you just pick up the book that you're currently reading that just came out 2 days ago, or a book that you've read 10 times before, and you just keep going and you just forget about what you just thought about. I do. A lot. Hey guys, it's Ashley, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing the 20 books that I am hoping to read in 2020. The title of this video is probably going to be 20 books that I will read in 2020, but I am not being that optimistic in the video. Outside of the video, sure, let's say it, but in the video, let's be realistic here. These have been on my shelf for a while now. Is it possible I'm gonna get to them in 2020? Yes. Will I 100%? God, I hope so. So these are all books that I've had on my shelf for a certain period of time, some of them much longer than others, and today I'm going to share them with you because it is about damn time I get to them. So let's get started. The first two books that I have to share are kind of a no-brainer for this sort of video because this is one of my favorite authors of all time. The first of which is Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. Our Dark Duet is the sequel to This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab, which I read years ago and remember literally none of. So should I probably reread that book? Yes. Will I? I don't know. You should stay tuned to find out. From what I remember about the first book, this series sort of draws the line between human and monster and how far you have to go to be considered a monster, what it means to be a monster. Very dark and gritty. We kind of live in this sort of fantasy dystopian world, I would say. We follow one girl who is a human who I believe wants to hunt monsters. I cannot remember, or maybe she is a monster hunter. I know her name is Kate or Katie. And then I remember August, I got the names right, that's good at least. I remember August is a monster and he is a Sunai, which is a type of monster that can steal your soul. So there's like 3 types of monsters. I don't know, they become friends at some point, something ends up happening. Our Dark Duet is supposed to be making everybody cry, and I want to know why, and I just haven't read it. So honestly, I probably will reread the first one because after trying to stumble through that synopsis, God knows I need it. And the second Victoria Schwab book that I am hoping to get to in 2020 is The Archived, which is one of her earlier series. From what I know about this series, which is not much, mind you, we follow this girl named Mackenzie who is supposed to be guarding or working in the Library of the Dead or something like that. Some sort of like dead library. Ghost library? I don't really know. The series has always been pretty highly regarded among Victoria Schwab's novels. The people who have read it, I believe, really, really like it. So I have always been interested in reading it, especially because it's so tiny compared to all of her other books, and there's only 2 of them. So I might as well. So the next book that I've been meaning to get to for a while because everybody on BookTube freaking loves this book for reasons unknown to me is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Now I know that her new book, A Starless Sea or The Starless Sea or A Starless Sea, I don't know what it is, but I know her new book is getting like a lot of praise. Everybody's reading it, especially like the really pretty UK cover. I keep seeing that shit everywhere. But this was one of her earlier books or her first book. I should probably do more research, but that doesn't sound like me. Okay, no, actually I have heard this before. The circus arrives without warning, no announcements precede it. It is simply there when yesterday it was not. I remember that because it came on a tote bag that I got in an Owl Crate box once. And that's all I know. The next book on this list is one that I have not really talked about, I don't even at all on my channel. I don't know, but every time I see it on my shelf, I'm like, ooh, I should pick that up. And then instead I reach for something completely different. But that book is Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston. I literally have heard nothing about this story. Like literally nothing. But I remember when I first got it in a box, I think. It came in like an Owl Crate or a Fairy Loot box. I remember thinking that it sounded kind of like A Darker Shade of Magic meets sci-fi. It just had like sort of a group of characters that I felt like would go really well together, like in A Darker Shade of Magic, but like in a sci-fi setting. I don't think that that has anything to do with this book or really describes it in any way whatsoever. I have no idea what it's about, but Victoria Schwab did blurb it. So, you know, I trust my girl Victoria. Also, I recently read Geekerella earlier this year and it was so cute and I loved her writing, so ready for this. Probably no time has passed for you since I've cut the footage, but I just had to go for like 5 minutes to stop my dog barking at the mailman, which was great. Anyway, I don't remember where we were. The next book that I'm hoping to get to in 2020 is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, which has been on my shelf for a very, very long time, and I've just yet to get to it. If you guys have been on my channel for a while, you know that I absolutely love fangirl with all of my heart, and it just kind of makes me sad that I never got to this one, even though it's not like a sequel to Fangirl, it's just a spin-off of the book that Kath was writing. Everybody and their mother loves this book, and everybody has been telling me constantly throughout the years to finally pick it up, and I just haven't yet. I know now that there's a sequel to it. I haven't really heard much about that, but maybe now that that's out, I'll try to get to this maybe next month? Who knows? The next two books on this list would not normally be on this list, but I am trying to read a little bit more like out there in my reading horizons, I guess. I've kind of turned on to thrillers, and I'm trying to get into some of the books that I hear people know and love, and for me, those two books are classics that I already had on my shelf, and that is Pride and Prejudice and Emma by Jane Austen. I know that so many people have been in love with these books for so many years, and I know that there are movie upon spin-off upon series upon everything. Hell, there's a new Emma movie coming out in February, maybe? Next month? Possibly? Sometime this year? I don't know. But yeah, these are both on my list. Not only are they classics, but they are beloved classics, and I really want to get to them. If you don't know anything about them, I don't either, so don't feel bad. Next on this list is A Reaper at the Gates by Saba Tahir, which I don't know why I haven't gotten to this book yet. I even reread the dang series to prepare for this one, and then I never picked it up. What is wrong with me? This is the fourth book in the Ember in the Ashes series, which is phenomenal. It's so good. It's a fantasy that revolves around the Roman Empire of sorts. There's this very brutal sort of dictatorship and school that trains these assassins. There's a whole people that are being oppressed and demoralized and things. And we follow two characters in this book. Laia, who is a girl, she watched her family die, and now she is working with the rebellion to act as a spy in this school. She's acting as a slave, so there are lots of like dark things that happen in this story, not only to her, but to everybody else. So just trigger warnings for that if you cannot handle torture, because it's pretty dark. And then we also follow Elias, who is the son of the like president slash leader of this school, and he's also training to become a mask, which is what they call these assassins. But he really doesn't believe in any of the ideals, and so they end up meeting, and a lot of different things happen that I'm not going to share because I'm not going to spoil this, because it is very, very good. I don't remember a lot of what happened, which just goes to show that I really should stop putting off sequels, but it's fine. I'll figure it out and I'll get through it. So the next three books on this list are a trilogy that I'm hoping to get to in 2020, and I am counting them as three separate books because they are three separate books. But they are one series, and that is The Kane Chronicles by Rick Riordan. The only Rick Riordan series that I have really yet to accomplish in my lifetime, just because I genuinely did not care about them for the longest time. And I think it's about time that I started to care at least a little bit and attempt to make my way through them. The Kane Chronicles are all about Sadie, and I forgot her brother's name, but they are descendants of Egyptian gods, and they have a lot of, you know, likeness to the Percy Jackson series. It's basically the Percy Jackson series, but with two siblings, and they are a descendant from Egyptians, and that's all I know. There are some like spin-off books that I know of where the Kane Chronicle characters meet the Percy Jackson characters. I'm sorry to those Percy Jackson fans that I disappointed for not reading the series and for not mentioning it in my How to Read Percy Jackson books videos. I didn't mean to offend you, but also you shouldn't be offended that I haven't read a book, because it's a book. So deal with it. The next story that I'm hoping to get to in 2020 is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, which is a book that I've heard a lot about on YouTube. It's a very, very short book, and I didn't actually realize that it was a thriller, I think, until somebody brought it up, or like somebody recommended that I read it as a thriller, and I was like, this is a thriller? I literally didn't even know that. Even though it's called We Were Liars, and the synopsis is like, lies upon lies, true love, the truth, a revolution, an accident, a secret, a group of four friends, the liars whose friendship turns destructive. Like, what? How did I not realize that? But here we are. Literally don't know what this is about. There are just some liars up in here. and I'm ready to read it. Book number however many of 20 is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, which is so many people's favorite books, I can't even begin to count how many. This book has been on the top of best books of 20 whenever for so long, so many times now, and I tried to read it not too long ago. I made it to page 10, and then I gave up because I didn't even know what the fuck was happening. It was so confusing, and the words were so confusing. I felt dumb reading this book when I first opened it. So kudos to you people who have gotten through it and gave it 5 stars. Granted, this is like a 600-page book, so I can't really judge that off of the first 10 pages, but I will be willing to give it another shot because so many people have praised this. It's so many people's favorite book, and I just need to know what it's all about. This book has been everywhere since it came out, and I put it off because I felt dumb the first time I tried to read it, but I'm gonna try to push through again. So wish me luck. Now time for the chunkiest book on this list, and that is Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. Oh my god. Why have I put off this book for so goddamn long? I don't understand. I even went to her book signing for this and I still haven't read it. I don't know. I don't have any excuses for this one. This is book 3 in the Dark Artifices, as most of you, if not all of you, already know. Cassandra Clare, Shadowhunters, what more is there to say? The only thing that I will say is that surprisingly, I have not been spoiled for any of this book yet, which I am like, how? How have I not been spoiled? Please don't spoil me. But I'm just so surprised and like so happy about that. So definitely need to get to this chunker soon. But yeah, I have no excuses. I talk about this all the time in my videos. I'm like, I don't know why I haven't read it yet. I don't know what has stopped me from reading it. I don't know. I read Ghosts of the Shadow Market, so I don't even have an excuse. This is literally the next book that I have to read, and I'm gonna get to you, okay? Oh my god, you can see the pile of books like popping up over the... Oh no, you can't. Wait, what is that? Oh yeah, there it is. Oh my god. This book is so far away. The next book on this list is one that I'm literally still kicking myself over that I haven't gotten to yet because I read the first book it wasn't last year, I think it was 2 years ago, and it was so good and I've talked so much about it. And the sequel to that book is Wondersmith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend, which is the sequel to Nevermore, which you guys have heard me rave about on my channel if you've been with me for that long. So I am very annoyed that I haven't gotten to this book yet, but I finally have it. Before I just never had it, and I finally have it now, and I'm gonna get to it at some point, I promise you. If you've never heard of this book or the first book in the series, Nevermore, we basically follow this girl named Morrigan Crow who is born on the unluckiest day of the year, which means that she is blamed for all of the things that go wrong in her town. She ends up being whisked away to Nevermore, which is this weird, quirky town, and she is in the running to become a member of the Wondrous Society. And the whole book is basically her trying to figure out what makes her special, because all of these kids in this world have this like special ability that they can like compete with, and she's like, I don't know, I'm unlucky, and that's all that she's got. So it's a really, really, really good book. It's a cute book, it's quirky, it's like very, not Alice in Wonderland-esque, but it's very unique in the way that like there's so many things in this world that I haven't read about before. So yeah, it's a good one. Definitely check it out if you're into middle grade and if you enjoy fun, but also like odd books, because it's kind of odd. There are goat people down here. Goat people! It's an odd book. Somehow I accidentally made it so that the last few books on this list are like all high fantasy. The next book that I have here that I'm wanting to get to in 2020 is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This book is very, very beloved. This series is beloved by all of those who have read it. I'm never sure if this is a fantasy or a sci-fi because I'm pretty sure it's set on Mars, but I don't even know for sure. It's such an odd book whenever I try to read what it's about that I just need to finally dive into it and read it for myself. It's kind of like Nevernight in the fact that the people that have read it are like absolutely obsessed with it, and so that sort of makes me want to read it even more, and that's why it's on this list today. So gonna hopefully read it this year. Woo! Like literally all it says is, his wife taken, his people enslaved, driven by a longing for justice and the memory of lost love, Darrow will stop at nothing to bring down his enemies, even if he must become one of them to do so. For the first time, Red will rise. Like, what does that mean? The fourth from last book on this list, but the second to last one that I'm gonna talk about, because the last one is actually a trilogy, so that's why, is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Again, like Strange the Dreamer, this book has been on the top of everybody's like best books of whenever list since it came out. Every time I like look at some kind of like fantasy book recommendations or adult fantasy book recs or something like along those lines, this book is in there. Will I get to it in 2020? I don't know for sure. Out of all of the books here, this one seems like it might be the most difficult to get to just because it's very daunting to me. I've not really read something like, I don't know, I haven't really read adult fantasy that much, especially not of this caliber, so I'm hoping to get to it, but we'll see. It might take me a really long time to get through it, but what else am I here for? I'm here to read, so here we go. The only thing I know about this story as well is that we follow this like wizard throughout his life. So begins a tale of unequaled in fantasy literature, the story of a hero told in his own voice. It is a tale of sorrow, a tale of survival, a tale of one man's search for meaning in his universe and how that search and the indomitable will that drove it gave birth to a legend. So it's about a guy telling his own autobiography basically, but I think he's a wizard? I don't know. Somewhere in that book there is a wizard. I know there is, I have heard of it. There has to be a wizard. And if there isn't, I'm gonna be really sorely disappointed. And the last series and the last 3 books that I have in this list of books that I will get to in 2020 is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, which has been on my shelf for a while. I've talked about in every fantasy books I need to get to, books I'm gonna read, this kind of video series that I've made. This series is in one of those videos every single time, and I've still yet to get to it. I might have talked about this before, but I actually did start this book, like I wanna say a year ago. I started it with the intention that I was going to read it and read the series and really love it, and I got 40 pages in and realized I couldn't read it because my book was defective. I'm like, of all the dang books that I have, this one has to be defective. I can't read this page. I can't read page 40. It's like everything turns black and cuts off. And then a few pages later, wait for it, I can't read any of it. The whole page is gray. So I have to get like a whole new book, or I have to get the ebook and read it through that and then read the other 2 books. I don't know, but that's the reason that I haven't actually read the book yet, because every time I go to read it, I'm reminded that my book is defective, and then I never buy a new book. So here we are. Maybe I'll just go to the library and actually get the book out. Maybe I'll actually use my library. I have a library card for a reason. I need to use my library. Oh my god. So those are all of the 20 books that I'm hoping to get to in 2020, or that I will get to in 2020, but we both know what's like. I hope I get to them in 2020. These are all books that I've had on my shelf for an extended period of time that I just haven't gotten to yet, and I need to get to, either because they are so highly regarded on BookTube, because I've heard so much about them, or because I just need to just finally get to them, okay? I just need to do it. I need to just do it. Of course, the list of books that I'm hoping to plan for my TBR for next month only includes like one of these books, so we'll see what happens. If you have a book or books that you are planning on getting to this year, or that you've made a commitment that you will 100% read this year, please let me know down below, because I would love to talk to everybody about that on books that we have been putting off forever now and we need to get to. Anyway, so I think that is going to be it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you later. Goodbye!